10 fones lendários que definiram a indústria e resistiram ao tempo. Esse é o tema da lista MTH de hoje. A ideia é a seguinte, eu estava vendo um vídeo recentemente e tinha uma pessoa usando um dos fones que está nessa lista. E aí eu parei para pensar, falei, cara, realmente assim, é muito doido como tem alguns modelos de fones que são produzidos há décadas, continuam sendo vendidos, são amplamente utilizados no meio profissional.
Environment. And that's where the idea came from to make this MTH list, to gather these headphones and tell you about them. It's a topic that I find, at least, very interesting. There are some very surprising data that you will see here. So let's go. I'll start. It's not in order of popularity or anything like that. There's no order here, but the first headset I'm going to bring is the KOS Porta Pro. The story is interesting. KOS started making headphones in 1958 and they were one of the first to make
headphones for personal use. Many of her models were for this, which at the time was not very common because headphones emerged as professional equipment and they were used professionally for applications that required isolation and such. I don't know, until not long ago, people didn't listen to music outside the house. You listen to it at home, and then at home you use speakers, right?
KOS was a manufacturer that went a little against this and made headphones since 1950, 1960 developed for personal use, for you to listen to music at. And then it became the American headphone manufacturer, very renowned, super popular, and so on. Now, KOS's explosion came in 1984 with the Porta Pro. Why? Around that time, the Walkman was invented, and then personal audio started to explode, because then people started to listen to music outside the home. And KOS was already... Já estava ali, já estava fazendo fones pro público consumidor normal, ela pegou carona nesse movimento e veio com o Porta Pro. Assim, até teve, se não me engano, uns 2 ou 3 modelos que vieram logo antes. A KOS chegou a lançar, acho que um radinho com um fone integrado, mas meio que o Porta Pro foi o modelo que mudou tudo, sabe? Por quê? Cara, é um fone pequenininho, ultra leve, que tem um desempenho muito surpreendente.